Hi, I'm Jake Verma. I'm a senior consultant in the data systems team, and I'm here with Talia. Talia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, I'm Talia Skuffa. I'm the practice manager for transport at the Energy Systems Catapult, and I'm looking after our transport capability.
Thank you. So we're here today to talk about the Consumers Vehicles and Energy Integration Trial. Do you want to give us a short introduction to what the trial was and what you were doing?
Yeah, so the trial was part of the Consumers Vehicles and Energy Integration project that was set up by the Energy Technology Institute. And the main objective of the trial was to understand how we transition to a secure and sustainable low carbon vehicle fleet. So looking to understand what are the energy systems implication, what would be the consumer behavior and choices, what would be the impact on charging infrastructure that would need to be in place. The project had two parts, and the first part was to do some analytical work and modeling, and the second part focused on the trials. So the trials were with mainstream consumers, meaning that people looking for people that they are not looking to buy an electric vehicle in the next few years, and it was divided in two parts. So the first part of the trial wanted to understand what are the barriers and the motivators influencing mainstream consumer choices when it comes to EV adoption, and the second part looked at the attitudes and willingness to adopt smart charging EV tariffs. So are they willing to shift their demand away from peak times?
Fantastic. And what were the key outputs of the project? The big sort of conclusions, the headlines.
So one of the conclusions was around smart charging. So if people had the experience of smart charging, they were more willing to adopt it in the future. But also it looked at how factors like availability of a rapid charging network or vehicle ranges will affect the choice when it comes to EVs. So yeah, lots of findings that fed into other parts of work as well. But and yeah, and lots of that was documented through the trials data set as well.
Fantastic. So you collected quite a lot of data in the course of the project. So can you tell us a little bit about what data you collected and how you went about collecting that information for the conclusions?
Yeah, so the majority of work was done by the consortium that delivered the project. That was TRL, Element Energy, Baringa. They worked on the looking at the trial data outputs. What we did was collect information not only on the charging behavior at home, but also charging behavior at public charge point locations and also traveling patterns. And actually, the trial was one of the first trials that looked at collecting information that extended to the traveling behavior as well, and the away from home charging. So data includes a range of things, from how far people traveled, what times of the day, how much energy did they consume while traveling, how often they charged, when, um, and and linking all that helps us understand and draw these conclusions on consumer attitudes and behavior.
Fantastic. So we conducted an open data triage on the data itself to make sure that there weren't any, privacy, security elements that needed tackling, or that we tackled all of the commercial considerations. So we'll come to the commercial part of it in a moment, but how do we tackle the privacy elements? Because obviously there was some, sensitive information about things like GPS coordinates, journey start and end locations, and that sort of thing. So how do we go about doing that?
So the data sets that we received from the delivery team were already anonymized, so we didn't have any personal information on the participants, but we also had anonymized GPS coordinates, for example. When it came to us sharing the data further and making them available, we decided to add additional layers of protection to that. We want to be 100% sure that there will be no issues with sharing sensitive information. So we converted even further the anonymized GPS coordinates and used location IDs, for example, for the destination and start of journeys. But we also removed fields like vehicle number plates, even though the vehicles were all listed by the project because it was mainstream consumer, so they didn't have an EV anyway. We even removed that because the information didn't provide any insights to anyone that is looking at the data. So these fields were also removed.
And in terms of this is something that doesn't often come up with the open data triage, but legislation and regulation. So GDPR are obviously covered by anonymizing the information, but there was a problem with speed limits that were recorded in the trial, right? So how did we go about tackling that?
So we changed that, and we adapted the speeds for any journeys that we had speeds recorded above the limits. That could have been a range of factors. It could have been issue with the data collection process, so it might have not even been true. So we wanted to again protect the participants, and again the information didn't give a lot of insights to the data set. So yeah, we changed those fields as well.
So we came up with a commercial model for the data that was collected. So can you tell me about the sort of ownership of the project and who sort of owns the information?
Yeah, so obviously when the project was running and while the ETI was still in operation, all the IP was with ETI. When the ETI closed, the IP was transferred to the Catapult. So we now own it. And we went ahead with offering 3 commercial packages, bronze, silver, and gold, to have different layers of information and how much data we're sharing. The bronze package is a free package. It provides statistical information on each trial participant group. It's mostly there to help people understand what sort of information we have and to draw some main conclusions potentially from the data sets. And then the silver package is aggregating the information at participant level. So for each participant, we've got statistical information on how they were charging their vehicle and also how they traveled. And the gold package is then providing all information. So we've got an entry for each trip and an entry for each charge event as well. For the silver and gold ones, we also offer some scripts for processing the data, just to help people understand what sort of data they can extract, and draw some early first conclusions basically, and help them a little bit with delving into the data.
And for the gold package, there's actually some support available. It's a funded package, but it is there's some support available from your team, right?
Yeah, not only from our team, actually, it's either from the transport specialists within the transport team, but also the consumer insights team. So we can help either with the data experts, help people either process the data sets to extract the relevant information that they want, give advice and draw conclusions, and also help a little bit with understanding what the data is telling us. Yeah, so a range of support available to anyone that wants to access it.
Fantastic. And so who has used the data so far, and who are your target? Who's your target market for the information going forward?
I think the target market is anyone that is working on the EV space and is looking to understand behavior of mainstream consumers. So any aggregator, anybody looking at flexibility platforms, charge point operators, potentially anybody that wants to understand how people would use smart charging tariffs in the future, how they charge away from home, and also understand their preferences and attitudes towards buying an EV in the first place.
Yeah. Fantastic. And if somebody who's listening to this wants to get in touch with you, would you recommend that they download the data set in the first instance and have a look at it?
Yeah, so they can go to the USmart platform to access the bronze package to begin with. Along with that, they get all the available documentation that we offer, and then we'll be in touch to set up a call to assist any further.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me, Talia. Have
Thank
a
you
great
very
rest of
much.
the day.
Bye.